Hi, I'm Lee Harris, and this is the energy update for February 2019. Every month I take the energetic pulse on what's going on emotionally, psychologically, energetically, and coming up in February there are three themes I have to focus: the era of higher harmonics, elevated love, and abundance shifts. So stay tuned for more on those topics. Hi everyone. For those of you who've watched my broadcast 2019 Year of Beginnings, and it's there on YouTube, free to see if you want to check it out. It's a 1 year forecast and it's an hour long, so it's pretty detailed. And I go into some of the energies that will be coming up this year. But one of the things that came up in that was the idea that we have gone through a 7-year period of clearing. So 2012 to 2019, the focal characteristic has been clearing out of old stuff, old patterns, old behaviors, old energies, and that the next 7 years, 2019 to 2026, are going to be 7 years of elevation. It's a brand new 7-year cycle. Now, as we know, elevation can bring with it a certain turbulence, and we are certainly living in turbulent times. We are living in times where the extremes are playing out, but this can also make for a very potent energy for transformation. So, this month I was called to record a message for my Portal Members Club, and the message is, it's called Light Years 2019 to 2022, and it's a channeled message, and the subheading is the era of higher harmonics, because that's really what the guides were talking about. They were saying that this next 3 years we are entering into a period of light at a higher level before, and as a result higher harmonics. And what they explained about this was higher harmonics are when flow, connection, and building positive transformation in the world start to galvanize for a larger group than ever before. The other side of this, because that sounds lovely, but the other side of this is that people are being pushed out of and forced out of realities where they cannot achieve higher harmonics. And the reason I bring that up in February is December, January, February, we're in this arc where the clearing cycle continues and is perhaps a little more aggressive. Some of you may have felt it. You may have had strong emotions or experiences or reactions or interactions happening with people in this December, January timeframe. And February is really the last month of that before we go into a higher octave, which will begin immediately as March hits us. So for those of you who've gone through the clearing the last couple of months, you should see that February things can start to even out. But for some of you, there might be the odd shift or major change that needs to happen so that you can enter into this era of higher harmonics, freer to magnetize the people, the places, and the things that really work for you. That's one of the things that the message referred to. It said that these are years where light is hitting the planet in stronger ways than ever before. And again, that can sound great, but as those of us who go through the process know, like any evolution, like any area of growth, there is sometimes discomfort, there is sometimes having to let go, and all of us are here as souls having a human experience, and for all of us without exception, along the way in those human experiences, there have been wounds, there have been tough times, there have been disappointments. And one of the things that the message was talking about was a lot of those connect to karma and old energy karma. And that's a phase that we are growing out of. You'll see this in the younger generation particularly. So especially with people who are 20, 25 and under at the moment, a lot of them are a lot freer of some of the density or heaviness than those of us who are in the higher age bracket are. Of course, we're all individual. So you'll meet the lightest, brightest 80-year-old and the heaviest, densest 10-year-old. It all depends on experience, the soul, but in general, as human beings, we are being asked to lighten up. And that's also why some of the ugly that we see playing out in the world right now is magnified and in our faces. So the message in Light Years was to really understand why it's important that you get in touch with what you need and what you want, and to understand that far from being selfish or self-serving, because trust me, if you're only focusing on something that you want at the expense of someone else, or to try and manipulate someone else, or to take something else from someone else, that's going to hit you in the face in the next few years in quite a strong way. There is going to be a comeback because of the way that the energetics are working. But for most of you that I'm talking to, the reason I'm called to deliver this message is because some part of you has a desire to serve the whole, or serve the group, or help your family, or help your friends, be the helper. And of course, you're also human, so you have your own needs, your own desires, and the things that you want to bring into fruition. And the message in Light Years was, it's so important for you to figure out who you are and what you want, because if you don't, you get caught in the vortex of everybody else. As a fellow recovering empath and sensitive, like many of you, I definitely, and I think all of us to some degree, experience this as human beings, but sensitives and empaths experience this especially, getting lost in other people's desires, wants, emotions, feelings, rather than having what I would call a real co-union experience with them. So for example, if I'm holding who I am in my energy field, in my thoughts, and I present myself to someone else and they present themselves to me, we can meet in the middle and see where our chemistry match is. But more often than not, what's happening is one person is compensating more for another. There's nothing wrong with this. This is how most of us have been raised. It's kind of just what happens. It's part of our programming. But the reason I bring it up is this next month or two, you're going to have a real opportunity to see, what do I want and what do I want to manifest and bring into my life? What do I need on a day-to-day basis to feel like I'm okay while I'm interacting with everyone else? So for sensitives, it's crunch time. It's, can you figure that out? Because there is an enormous elevation about to happen for so many people about magnetizing the higher harmonics. If you're not already in a good percentage of loving relationships, conducive work, financial feeling of either feeling free financially or feeling okay about money. All of these different elements that we can look at with our life, our health. This era of higher harmonics is designed to elevate for all of us. And as we know, often when we are being asked into a more abundant reality or invited into a more abundant reality, we often can have a freak out. We can often go, no, I can't have that much money because I saw that my dad got loads of money and it ruined all his relationships with his family, and that's what I grew up learning. So we've all learned through each other patterns of behavior and patterns of belief based on how someone else experienced something. And here's the good news. None of us, absolutely none of us, experience anything exactly the same way as someone else. So this is why getting lost in comparison is a trap. This is a good thing to practice when you're on Instagram or Facebook. You know, it's like if you find yourself getting lost in comparison and it's taking you down, get off social media for a moment, but equally look at what your mind is doing with what it's being presented. And just ask yourself, that's interesting, because actually I'm a whole person and I have a whole life ahead of me as far as I know. And my truth, which many of you who've tuned in for me, with me for a while will know, we never know how many days we've got left. And I always take that as a really good kick up the to kind of live, especially if I catch myself getting stuck or more fearful than I know I need to be. I remind myself, we have this moment and we have this life, and for many of us, we are here in a very transformational era on Earth to help bridge generations. And that's our role and our purpose. We don't have to save the world single-handedly, because we can't, we won't, and it's egotistical to think we can when there's a whole mass of us here. But if we get a little more clear about what we want and need in our life, and trust that our knowing of that will help magnetize some of those experiences, then we enter into the era of higher harmonics with less resistance. If we have victim consciousness, believe that something is taken away from us or somebody else got something that we deserved, we're trapped, and it's not true. So that leads me nicely to our next theme of the month, which ties in perfectly abundance examination. So abundance is going to be under the microscope for many people in February. It was interesting to me when I got that about 20 minutes ago, and what came through was the tussle between being appreciative for what you've got and really genuinely being appreciative for what you've got. So if you hear of a friend with health trouble, do you take a moment to, after you've felt for them or sympathized or empathized with them, do you then go, wow, I've got my health right now, and they're having an experience that they're telling me about the pain or the suffering they're going through. Am I being grateful for this? This is really important for all of us, because part of the mastery or the enlightenment of being human is how light can we keep and sustain ourselves. So if abundance is under review for you this month, again, it goes back to, what do you need? What do you want? You might find some of you have really abundant experiences at the moment where you're like, wow, things are just flowing and things are connecting for me, and the abundance of life, the money, the relationships, the things that I would like to experience on earth, because all of those things are just experiences. We can't take any of it with us, but we can have an experience of abundance in heart or in money or in the ability to travel, whatever abundance looks like to you. I would say this month, think about that and go, for me, abundance this month would actually be having a fantastic new friend come into my life, and just hold that as an intention and really just visualize it through February. Repeat it to yourself, write it on a piece of paper, stick it on the wall, because this is a really good month for manifesting abundance, and that is going to come up. And it's going to be a theme, so you might notice abundant shifts in your own life just happening to you. And the interesting thing to notice is, how do I react? Do I trust that I can receive this, or do I trust that if something is moving out, that I can recreate it or manifest it in a different way? Because fear and abundance are such a link. So think about that as you go through February. Just hold abundance in your focus. And last but not least, we have elevated love. This is always a nice one, right? So elevated love, this period of elevation, one of the things that is going to be really cooking in 2019 is your ability to feel love in an unencumbered way. So I don't know about you guys, but I can literally, I can look at some of these trees and these plants and just go and have like a real heart moment with them. I can be with or think of loved ones in my life, friends, my family, my husband, my cats. I can kind of do that with love and position it on things and experiences. But what I really want to bring up here is elevated love is going to be happening very spontaneously. That was the message. You might just be doing something really mundane, and for no reason whatsoever, something just moves through your torso, something opens your heart, something expands your mind. You suddenly go, wow, the world is really loving, and I really didn't think, or nor was I able to see that the world was loving 3 or 4 years ago when I was in a very different place. It's really important to notice that our attention and our focus on energy, it changes all of the time. It can change depending on our life experiences, sure. But it's a reminder of the multidimensionality of everything that's around us, and we can choose where to focus. And if we focus on appreciating love, and if we focus on being aware of love, it will amplify. So elevated love is going to be a real experience. And I talk about this a lot because it comes up a lot, and it's certainly something I experienced in my own past history around relationships. The wound of heartbreak, when we have that, when that comes up in relationship or in any area of our life, when we feel heartbroken, it's usually the end of a contract that we had with another person around a limited experience of love. So the person that you say has broken your heart and has left you, thank God that happened, because if they were meant to stay with you and were able to stay pulsing love and life with you, then they would have, and you two would still be experiencing that. But when they move on, it's an opportunity for you to have an examination of, were they not really what I wanted or needed? Or was I playing out a wound with them that they didn't want to align with? It's really important for us to come out of that programming state, which will tell us a story about what's going on in our life and want to fix us in the story. That's what most of us have spent a lot of time undoing, the story. So When we move out of story into experience and a very experiential feeling of love, things change. So more and more of you are going to be popping into that elevated experiential state where story, meaning, form, they're changing. Don't panic when it happens if it's new to you. It's part of the tapestry of the rising energy on the planet, the rising light, and those of you who are interested in videos like mine and this kind of topic, that's what you're going to be experiencing, because that's the slipstream of energy that you are riding. So sometimes it will be unnerving, but most of the time it's going to feel really good. So enjoy the experience of more elevated love as it moves in, especially this month. It will really start to cook, but over the months to come. So that's my take and what I get for you guys for February. I hope you have a really wonderful month, and thank you for tuning in. If you want to listen to the recording I was mentioning, Light Years 2019 to 2022, it's called The Era of Higher Harmonics, and it is available in my store, or if you're a member of my monthly community, The Portal, you get it free as part of your membership, as well as my monthly live video Q&A broadcast, which is live, but it's always archived, as are the whole of the past year, where I basically do a real deep dive on the energy of the month, answer your questions, and also channel my guides for part of that broadcast. You also get Qigong medicine from Stephen Washington, special discounts, special offers, and bonus recordings. So check out The Portal on my website if you're curious, or the MP3 Light Years is in the store. And last but not least, we have just opened booking on my big event of the year, Soul Magic Costa Rica. It will be our third Soul Magic in a row. They are awesome events, really deep dives into our journey as a human, our journey as a soul, and everybody who has attended those events before talks about how life-changing they are. I know it's an overused term, but it is true, and me and my team feel it too. So booking is now open, and there are a limit to those places. We have a maximum of 65 people who can attend these events, and so we are expecting it to sell out. So if you're curious, check it out on the website. There are payment plans available, and as I said, it's the end of October. So thanks for tuning in, everybody. See you at my website, leeharrisenergy.com. Big love. Till next.
We're never alone if we listen. We're never alone if we feel. And we are in this together, learning to heal. I'm never alone if I listen. I'm never alone if I feel. I know we're in this together, learning to heal. I am aware of the wonder. I feel the body I'm in, rising, elevating. We need a little more inside love. When the world out there spins fast, we need a little